Hi everyone and welcome back to WARNO. Today we're going to build a deck with the new French 5th Armoured Division. Let's change this name to 5th French, because it is the 5th Armoured and they are French. Now, as soon as I opened this, I couldn't help but notice this Puma Kangaroo. And I don't know what it is, but it really reminds me of an Airfix model. I wouldn't really say that about anything else that's stood out to me in WARNO as looking like an Airfix model, but it's something about the paint on this and the sort of camo size of the paint blobs and everything. Something about this, I looked at it and I was like, that looks just like an Airfix model. I don't know if anyone else thinks that. I don't know if it's the colours or the pattern or what, but something about that just screams to me Airfix model. But I don't, I look at that and I don't think the same about the truck. It's just something about the paint and everything else on there that makes me think Airfix. Anyhow, let's start building this deck. So, logistics first, obviously. We have supply with the Puma, or indeed the truck. Now, the Puma, you get 4 of them. They've got 1,500 each. They cost 55 points. They're going to be good for getting around the map pretty quickly. Some people will adore choppers for supply. I'm not a big fan, as you know, so I'm not going to put them in. I'm going to take 2 stacks of the trucks. So the trucks, you get 3 of them, 6 in total is better than nothing. It has a lot of supply in there at 1,750. Price is very reasonable. I'd just go with that. Now, in terms of commands, you get a bit of a choice. You either get the Jeep, which is, well, it's just a bog standard Jeep. You get 4 of them though. It's got no armor. You get the VAB, which has a little bit of armor and a machine gun. 10 points more, probably quite reasonable. Very fast still, road speed's pretty good. The AMX, obviously a bit slower across the road and on normal ground. However, it does have a 20mm autocannon, and to me that means it can defend itself. So I like the Jeep for the fact it's cheap. However, now artillery's better. It's more at risk from artillery. Equally, the armor of this isn't fantastic, so it's not going to survive many more hits from artillery. But I'm kind of keen to give that a go because I like the fact it's got an autocannon, because I feel like it can defend itself. So I would have to worry less about putting units to protect it behind the lines if it's in a point on its own. Maybe, a man-pad squad to take out aircraft, but otherwise, it's not too bad. Let's move on to infantry. I really don't want to spend any more points here. So infantry, I think the French do a lot better than the British here. I think in general this deck is a bit more balanced than the British deck. Obviously lacking in the tank department though. So you get these guys, 10 points, Prévoté. I'm probably pronouncing that slightly wrong, but it is what it is. 4-man squad. I mean, I'm loving the hat selection. Very French, but yeah, I'm not overly struck on those guys. I don't think I'd be rushing to take them. I mean, the SMGs are alright and they only cost 10 points, but transports obviously all 20 points now. I don't know, I wouldn't be rushing to take them personally. I'll come back to the commanders, but you've got the Escorte PC, which are basically just a squad of 8 infantry with the FAMAS. For 20 points, I think that's actually pretty reasonable. You get 9 of them at that level. You get 6 of them if you vet them up. But I mean, for 20 points, you could bring them in an AMX 10P for 35 points as well, which gives them a nice autocannon. Or you can just bring them in the truck. I actually think that's pretty good. I'm not saying I'm going to take it, but I think that's pretty reasonable. And if I was wanting to take something just to kill enemy infantry, basically, that would certainly be up there. Obviously, you've also got the chasseurs, which are very tempting. They've got the FAMAS, still an 8-man squad. They've got the FAMAS, they've got an NF1, so they have the machine gun, and they have the LRAC F1, which has a decent range. Obviously, penetration isn't the best, but it's still not bad at all at 15. I think that's pretty good. You only get 6 of them, though, at the lower rank, but again, you can bring them in either the MX-10P or the TRM-2000, so that's not bad. The reservists, these guys come in with experience poor. Literally just reservists, but they are a 10-man squad. They have a couple of guys, 3 guys with the little SMGs. They've got 6 guys with a rifle. And they've got a guy at the end there with a machine gun. That's not a bad little squad. They're obviously just going to panic a lot because they're sort of poor in terms of their veterancy, and it can't be leveled up any higher than that. They're basically militia, if you will, from Wargame Red Dragon. Then we've got sappers, which we will probably take because we do like that. However, we are going to look at the sappers flam in a minute. I'm curious what they get. I haven't looked at them yet. But reasonable squad. We're wanting them more for the satchel charge than anything else, to be honest. Which is still just the standard satchel charge. You do get 9 of them as ever. I just bring those in a truck. You just want them nice up close and personal. I mean, you know, options here are 20mm cannon or that with a machine. That's not bad with a machine gun. It's just slow. That's why I bring them in the truck. So, sappers with a flame, and it is literally just a flamethrower. So sadly, it's not your launcher, as it were, or the hand flam patron that the Germans have. It's a bit more standard flamethrower. I'm not sure how effective they are in game right now, honestly. I'd need to test them out again. It's been a while since I messed around with them. They certainly did improve them, but I'm not sure. Need to have a little play around with that. Commandos, 45 points. That's very reasonable for a 10-man commando squad. They come in at veterancy 2, 45 points. They've got mini-me's, 2 mini-me's. They were very good in Wargame Red Dragon. Stats here aren't bad. I mean, they've got the SIG as well. I feel like this is a really good squad for 45 points. That doesn't seem bad at all. Grenadier Voltigeurs. That's pretty good as well. 10-man squad again. Get 9 of them at that veterancy level. FAMAS. Lots of this LRAC F1. They're not bad. Again, 45 points. I mean, I'd certainly... I mean, you get less of the commandos, but they're better. And then you get the Grenadier Voltigeurs Epilas, which obviously is a much better launcher at 21 penetration. And they're only 5 points more. 5 points more for that much more penetration. I know you only get 6 of them, but... yeah, immediately would be taking that. One of the vehicles for these are the same, so you get the choice of the truck, the VAB, or the VAB with the T20. That is a nice autocannon as well. It's a very good little vehicle in Wargame Red Dragon. It also has a machine gun on it. So it's not like you're limited to just using the autocannon. That's certainly tempting. For 25 points as well. 5 points for an autocannon on it. That seems really cheap. That seems really cheap. Milans, obviously, are just Milans. They can come in a Jeep, a VAB Milan, which is reasonably cheap to get another Milan, or an AMX 10P Milan. And then again, AMX 10P with a 20mm autocannon isn't bad, but a little bit more expensive. It's got lots of armor. The Milan 2, the VAB Milan, and the AMX 10P Milan, again, you don't get Milan 2s on those vehicles. But obviously we'd be going with the Milan 2, I think. And then we get these guys, 55 points. Gruppe Antichar. Probably pronounced completely differently. Oh, wow. 2 Epilas launchers. So, what they mean is anti-vehicle group. I wonder if that's what that means. Yeah, they're pretty good for 55 points. Wow. So yeah, the French get a reasonable selection of infantry here. Not a lot of slots, but you could fill all these quite happily. Let's have a quick look through the commanders. So you got the commander chasseurs, which are just FAMAS. You got the commander sappers, which are a FAMAS and a machine gun. And finally you have these guys, which are just 6 FAMAS. Well, I'd rather have the bigger squad, so I'd take the chasseurs over the voltigeurs. And the sappers, as tempting as it is the machine gun worth 10 points? They're not really going to be defending themselves. I want it more for the numbers so they can take more damage rather than anything else. I think we go with those guys, and I just bring them in a truck. So that's going to be my infantry commander, just because they're a big squad. And then in terms of infantry, I'm going to take some commandos because I think that's really good in terms of the kit they've got. So I'm going to stick those guys in. I'm not going to bring them in the Super Puma. I think that's very expensive. I feel like those guys are going to be like my elite troops that I'm going to try and keep alive. I need something. I'm going to take these guys as ever, and I'm just going to take them in the standard truck. As tempting as the autocannon is on that, I'm going to take them in the standard truck to keep them as cheap as possible, because they're going to be throwaway troops just to try and chase enemy infantry out of forests and buildings. And then, I mean, these guys are very tempting for their anti-tank capability. These guys are pretty good as well. I'm not really... I mean, the reservists, I think for a 10-man squad, they're pretty cheap, but I'm not convinced. The Milan 2s I kind of want to take, and I'm tempted to take them in the VAB Milan just for, you know, it's 25 points and it's just an extra launcher, isn't it? That's 40 points, it's an extra 15 on top of that. Is it worth it for the cannon? Probably not, because the Milan 2 is already quite expensive, and that makes them 100 to bring them in with that. We're going to be relying on missiles, though, because the tanks aren't amazing in this. What else do we want? I kind of want to take these guys. I also kind of want to take these guys. There's still points to play with. I do want to play around with those guys a bit more, but I'm not necessarily going to put them in this deck. There are other decks with the flamethrower in. Kind of want to take these guys. I'm concerned about ranking them up, though, because it reduces the numbers to 4, and I feel like you just need lots of infantry still. And I'm tempted to hit him in the VAB T20, because I think that's a very good price. So let's do that. And these guys, again, you get a nice choice of vehicles. Do you go with the Milan? And these guys are already heavy anti-tank with 2 launchers. I don't know how effective the VAB T20s are, but they were so good in Wargame Red Dragon, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and take them in that. And I've got a slot left, and I'm kind of just wanting to fill it because, let's be honest, infantry is so important in this game. What do I take? 6 of those. The reservists you get a lot of, but they don't have any anti-tank. I mean, these guys for 45 points aren't bad. It's the 10-man squad that's doing it for me for an extra 5 points. And you get 9 of them instead of... I think that's much more worthwhile. I mean, if just pin them. So, the Grenadier Voltigeurs versus the Chasseurs, I mean, 5 points gets you 2 more squad members. And everything else is pretty much the same, but they're putting out more damage. I think 2 more squad members is definitely worth 5 points. And you have the choice of the VABs again. I'd just bring them in that truck to keep them as cheap as possible, though. I think we can unpin that now. Yeah, let's go with that. I'm happy with those. For now, at least. I need to test all of these to see what they're like. Let's move on to artillery. So, not a lot of choice here. This is another division with very limited choices. You got 120mm mortar, which isn't bad. And we have the 80mm or 82mm, sorry, on the VAB, and you got the AMX Alf 1. They're very cheap activation points in this deck for artillery. 4 1-point slots. That seems a bit much. I mean, you're going to take some of those just in a truck, and you're going to take a few sets of AMX then, aren't you? In fact, you could take another card of those. Funny deck, this. Really funny deck. I'm going to move on. I don't like leaving single point cards, like where it's only one activation point to take it, but I don't want to spend too much here. So straight on to tanks. The P4 Milan, 35 points on a little Jeep. That's pretty cheap. How much are the infantry? They're 45. That's really weird. Why is that so cheap? I think we take some of those, because they are ridiculously cheap. You get 8 of them. You only get 4 if you scale them up, but I can't believe that they're cheaper than the squad. Stealth is good. What's the stealth like on the infantry version? Good. Optics normal. I'm not quite sure why that is so cheap. That seems far too cheap. Because it's faster than the squad. It's got the same stealth as the squad. And it's got the same... That's the wrong price, guys. Come on. Definitely the wrong price. Moving on, you've got the AMX-30 EBG, which is your big anti-infantry cannon. I think we can stick a squad of those in. I won't really bother increasing the accuracy on that. It's already 70. So that's good. We've got the AMX-30B, which has 10 front armor. Nothing too exciting. Full range gun in that sense. That's pretty good penetration and everything. Bit of a glass cannon. That's pretty nice though. We've got the VAB Mephisto there, which has the Hot 2, which is good range, good penetration, and good accuracy. That's pretty nice. I wonder how that compares to other options for anti-tank. And you've got the AMX Hot there, which is, it's the same in terms of its missile loadout. A bit like the British in the swing fires. Really good accuracy on these though. They're the same price. You get 9 of those, and they're faster. These are slower, but they're on a tank chassis. Lots of missile options here. I kind of want to take that. The little bit of armor, it's still not going to, I mean, it's not going to stop another missile or a tank shell, is it? So you know what, let's take the VAB. The only command tank we get here is the AMX-30B2. Front armor's only 11, penetration 18. We'll take that. You get the B2 and you get the Brennus. So the Brennus has slightly better front armor and slightly better side armor. The cannon is the same. You can only take 1 stack of those. Normally I would rank them up, and it would certainly improve their accuracy. I mean, this deck isn't going to rely on tanks, so let's go with that. We'll rank them up, and then here again we'll take a few cards of these because of the next step. And do we fill all of the 3-point slots as well? I mean, tanks are great, but they're not fantastic, are they? Maybe we take the glass cannon with its slightly weaker front armor. I mean, it is very cheap at 95 points, isn't it? And we could rank that up and still have 6. Let's do, I mean, 95 is kind of spammable, so I think we're in spam territory and take 12. I'm tempted by taking some more AMX HOTS, to be honest. Because obviously the tank armor isn't great anyway. Do we have enough tanks there to be scary? 12, 12 and 4. Plus the command. I think there's enough tanks there to be scary. Let's take a set of those as well. And then let's not spend another 3 points. Let's move on and maybe come back. But I want to take, you know, these hot missiles are pretty good. And if we spam a lot of them, enemy tanks aren't going to be coming near us. So, Recon. EPICBANDANNER. I can't pronounce that. I could probably look it up and try and pronounce it properly. I'm not going to bother. Full-man squad. Very good optics. Exceptional stealth. You could bring those in a little... Oh! That's a Recon truck. The VLRA 50 cal it's got. I guess is the intention there. It's a 12.7mm machine gun. Well, that's quite tempting. You got the VBL. Very good optics. VBL, very good. Everything for the French has very good optics. Hang on a minute. Very good optics. Exceptional optics. Very good optics. Very good. Now, I realise you gen are French, and they always overpower the French stuff a bit. But this feels a little bit ridiculous. Every single vehicle here has very good or better optics. I feel like you royally screwed the pooch on the British. Because I think we just get the one exceptional and everything else is just good. I feel like we're getting a bit shortchanged there, guys. And you have managed to have everything very good. Not convinced, guys. That does have a Milan, which is quite nice. 80 points. Very good optics. Right, we need the infantry, without a shadow of a doubt. And I'm going to take them in the truck, because that's got... Sorry, the transport vehicle does have just good optics. I mean, yeah. So we'll take a squad of those. I'm tempted to take the chopper. The Vab Rasset is probably worth it now, since Exceptional is much better than it was. These guys... I mean, it's got a decent cannon on there, doesn't it? What's the difference between these two? You pin these. That one's 90 points. Oh, the armor is slightly better. Armor slightly... So basically you're paying for 5 points for better armor. It's pretty reasonable pricing. Cannon's not bad on it, is it? It's like a tank cannon. And it's very fast. So we'll be taking that. And then... That's only got a machine gun on. Tempted by that for the Milan on it, since we're going to rely heavily on missiles, but I already have a lot of missile stuff. Let's leave it and come back. We might take something else. I'm tempted by the chopper. So anti-air, what we got? We've got a truck here that's going to be changed at some point for a better truck. Because the it looks a bit weird at the moment. But that's quite a nice little truck with a reasonable little cannon on the back. Got the Mistral, which is got a very good accuracy, actually. I didn't expect it to have 60%. Oh, well, they're going in then. Got the AMX 13, so 30mm anti-air. It is radar, so be aware. The Roland 2, which they talked about being not radar, I'm sure it is actually radar here. Because it has been radar for a long time. When it first released in the game to the Germans, it wasn't radar. Then they patched it and made it radar. And it does say here it is radar. But it's a lot cheaper than the Roland 3 at the minute. Obviously, there's a significant discrepancy in the ranges there. Well, there's some interesting choices. I'm tempted to try that gun. Because those guns have been useful in the past, so we'll stick that in. I say we take the Roland... Oh, I don't know, actually. That actually has better range than the Roland, doesn't it? And it can hit ground targets. Oh no. Yeah, it does. Overall, it has better range. Worse range against aircraft, though. And it's 150 points for the Roland 3, which has much better range. And better accuracy. I'm not sure. It's radar either way. And you only get 4 of them. That's concerning me. So let's take 6 of those Roland 2s. And again, let's move on because we're running rapidly out of points to spend here. So, the Gazelles, if you're going to take something, I'd take the Hot 2. The Hot 1's not terrible, but the Hot 2 has just so much better accuracy. Would I fill the other activation slot? Maybe. Let's move on to air. So, very cheap napalm jet with 4. That's very cheap. 4 cluster bombers, so in price. Reasonably cheap seaplane. Got a Mirage there. Decent range on its missile. That's not a bad jet for its price at all. The FIC 200, which has, again, anti-air missiles. And a couple of short-range sidewinders, effectively. The Jaguar ATGM. Oh, that's quite nice, isn't it? That's good penetration. I'm tempted by that one, actually. Oh, it's even got this little pod on the bottom, look. Quite like that one. And then the HE bomber with 4 bombs. Reasonably big bombs as well. That's a good set of choices here, to be honest. I kind of want to go for them. It's the fact that it's got such a long range on those. You only get 1 of those missiles, though. Oh, there's a thought. That at least you get 2, but it's not the best range. I think we go with that because at least it's got 2 missiles. We just take 3. The napalm is very cheap and napalm is pretty good and there's 4 bombs on it. So I'm actually going to take that. The cluster is tempting. We've got more points to spend. ATGM, HE bomber, seed plane would be beneficial, wouldn't it? I think we take the seed plane, and it's a very cheap seed plane. And do we take the cluster? It's pretty big cluster bombs as well. I'm trying to decide between the cluster and the ATGM. ATGM jets are very good in the game. Agility, normal agility, very good. Jaguar HE, eh. HE bombs aren't bad. But we've got the napalm to sort of fit that role almost. Let's go for the cluster for now. And then we got a point to spend. And I think the only place we have the option is either artillery or helos. And I'm going to take some more helos. Let's take some more of those Gazelle Hot 2s. Rely on them for anti-tank. Quick run through, guys. So, 2 sets of the supply trucks, so we get 6 in total. It still isn't a lot, but it's better than nothing. AMX-10 PC command vehicle, just to try it out. See if the extra armor and the cannon, or the auto cannon, helps. In terms of infantry, it's a bit of a mixed bag. They have some good options here and some cheap options. I've gone for the Chasseur Commander, just because of its numbers. I've gone for 1 squad, or 1 card of the Commandos, I should say. 1 of the Sappers, 1 squad of Milan, or 1 set of Milan 2s, 1 card of the Gren Voltigers A Pilas, 1 group anti-char card because 2 A Pilas is quite nice, lots of anti-vehicle, and then just some Grenadier Voltigers to make up the numbers. Moving on to artillery, I've gone with the 120mm mortars because why not, they're bigger explosions, and I've gone for 2 sets of the AMX Alpha 1s just to do some damage. Tanks wise, there's not a lot in terms of heavy armor here. You're more relying on the guns and then the ATGM launchers. So we've got the Milan Jeep here, which is obscenely cheap and needs to be increased in price. It shouldn't be cheaper than the standard Milan squad. Then you've got the AMX-30 EBG, which is your anti-infantry tank with the big cannon. You've got the VAB Mephisto, which I'm going to take because it's got the Hot 2, which is a really good missile. The AMX-30B2 PC, which is the command tank. It's the only one that gets. I'm taking that. Got the AMX-30B2 Brenners. So you only get 1 card of those, but they're good. I'd take them. I've also ranked them to Veteran. AMX-30B2s ranked up to Veteran C2. Again, it drops the number slightly, but they're decent. Again, here, another card of those. AMX-30Bs, just as, you know, standard trained. And then some AMX-10 HOTs, because again, these HOT missiles are very good. Moving on to Recon, I've gone with 1 squad of the Eclaireurs, 1 card of the Eclaireurs in the Recon truck, so you get 2 Recon units. Then I've gone with the VAB Rasset for the exceptional Recon, which has been improved. I know they've all been improved slightly in this patch, all the Recon ranges, but exceptional, very much improved. Also the AMX-10 RC to see how effective it is at zipping around the map very quickly. We'll see. It doesn't have the best accuracy in motion. Then for anti-air, I'm going with 1 squad of the Mistrals because I do like having a squad of manpads around, or 1 card of Mistrals because I do like having Mistrals manpads knocking about. Then I've gone for this funny little truck with the anti-air cannon on it, just to try it out. And then the Roland 2, which is still radar according to this, even though they said it wasn't going to be. And then Helos, I've gone for 2 of the Gazelle Hot 2s, and this is basically lots of anti-tank because our tanks aren't the best. And then we have a nice selection of very cheap aircraft. So we've gone for the Mirage Fighter there. We've gone for a Mirage Napalm, a Jaguar Seed, and a Mirage Cluster. The Cluster I would happily swap out for either ATGM or indeed the Jaguar HE. You could take any of those. It just depends on your playstyle, and I just fancy trying this first. And there's the deck. I think overall it is a much more balanced deck than what they offered to the British there. Obviously the British have a very, very strong tank section, even though the armour isn't probably as high as it should be on that Challenger. You can debate me on that as much as you want. I will steadfastly believe that it should have the highest armour in-game. However, the rest of the deck for the British was pretty poor. Whereas here, it does feel like they've balanced out a lot more. And some of the pricing needs adjusting, guys. Some of the stuff here is far too cheap for what it is. But either way, thanks for watching. Please do like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you all soon for a video looking at the maps that they've added to the game.